Geez, what's going on with this steering? Oh, I left it in four-wheel drive. That's not good. Hey friends, it's Len here from 1A Auto. So you've got yourself a four-wheel drive vehicle, but you're curious about your four-wheel drive options. To start, you're probably gonna have a couple different options on the way that you're gonna be able to shift into four-wheel drive. Theoretically, you could either have a manual type of shift where there's like a big old rod down on the floor and you kind of just grab onto it and you can go from 2 into four-wheel drive high or even four-wheel drive low. But in most trucks, you're typically gonna have an electronic shift of some sort, typically a push button or even a twist knob. Generally, the ones with the electronic selectors are gonna have more options. The one with the lever down along the floor is typically only gonna have two-wheel drive, 4 high, or even 4 low. With having the switch, you have the ability to potentially have a four-wheel drive auto. This is all stuff that I wanna talk about, so let's get into it. Now with either of these selectors, you're gonna have the ability to either choose between 2 or even four-wheel drive, but of course it's gonna come down to how the power is getting transferred to the wheels that's gonna matter the most. So first let's talk about the two-wheel drive mode. Essentially that's gonna be putting all the power that's coming from your engine and your transmission through that transfer case, and it's only gonna come out through the rear wheels. This is gonna be great for increased fuel economy. The two-wheel drive mode is essentially gonna be the most common mode that people drive in. You're gonna be driving through the city, you're gonna be going down to the store, you're gonna be turning left, right, all sorts of things, and of course this is gonna be the best overall for, like I said, the fuel economy aspect. And it'll put minimum wear and tear on your driveline system. So now typically the next thing that you'd be able to shift into would be the four-wheel drive high. Essentially why you would want to use the four-wheel drive high is if you were in slippery conditions or even off-roading conditions. When you're in four-wheel drive high or even four-wheel drive high lock, you want to make sure that you're not driving anywhere faster than 55 miles per hour. Generally, that's not going to be something that you're going to want to use on dry pavement, especially if you're going to be making any turns whatsoever. So if you're driving in a straight line, you can go ahead and use the four-wheel drive high, but typically if you're going to be making any turns or especially sharp turns, you could notice binding in your driveline system. The reason why you're probably going to notice the binding is typically because as you're making turns, the outside wheels are going to be trying to spin a little bit faster than the inside wheels. But essentially when you're in four-wheel drive, all 4 wheels should be trying to spin at approximately the same speed. Other than the binding around turns, typically what you might happen to notice if you're in the four-wheel drive high is that it kind of feels as though your acceleration from the truck when you go ahead and step on that gas pedal is going to be diminished. The reason why it's diminished is because, like I keep saying, is all 4 wheels are trying to spin. So all the power that's coming from your engine and transmission to that transfer case is getting dispersed to the front and the rear instead of just to the rear. So by driving your truck around inside four-wheel drive high, especially if you're making sharp turns or abrupt maneuvers, you could potentially be causing major damage to your driveline system, especially your transfer case. This is going to be especially noticeable if you have locking front or rear differentials. So now we're going to talk about four-wheel drive low mode. Essentially, this is going to be used for when you're going very slow. But before we can talk about that, we should also mention to be able to shift into four-wheel drive low, you're either going to have your truck stopped completely or at least driving less than 3 miles per hour under no acceleration. But most times you're gonna have to be completely stopped. The reason for this is because it's gonna try to put your driveline into a different gearing system, which will change how fast your tires are trying to spin in comparison to your engine speed, in which case will increase your torque at the ground, which I guess you might say a crawling speed gear. So essentially you're really only gonna use this in certain instances, where either you're stuck someplace or maybe you're trying to drive up steep and loose terrain, or even essentially if you're trying to pull something that's kind of at like the higher end of your tow capacity, like maybe somebody's stuck in some mud, and of course that's going to be hard to get them out of there. So essentially you're going to want to have the most amount of torque getting to your wheels so you can get the most amount of grip to get out of this particular situation. And of course, once you get yourself out of one of these particular situations, you're gonna wanna make sure you come to a complete stop and get yourself out of the four-wheel drive low selection. Now for the next 2 things we're gonna end up talking about, this is for the electronic selector switches only. On a lot of electronic selector switches, you might happen to find that you have a four-wheel drive auto selection. This selection is amazing, and it's a wonderful thing, and especially if you're gonna be driving in snowy or inclement weather. Essentially what this is gonna try to do is keep your truck driveline power going to those rear wheels, but it's gonna make sure that your transfer case is ready to go in a split second. If you're driving down the road and your truck happens to sense that one or even multiple of your wheels are starting to slip, it's gonna go ahead and put it right into four-wheel drive mode, so that way there you're getting all the grip to all your wheels as needed, instead of just keeping it inside the rear-wheel drive mode, which essentially if it starts to slip, you might get stuck or even go a little bit out of control. So if you're driving down the road in snow, maybe there's a nice little layer and you wanna make sure you have the most traction, typically I like to keep my truck in four-wheel drive auto. Four-wheel drive auto can be used at pretty much any time, whether the conditions are dry or even moist or slippery conditions. So if you're driving on regular pavement, you don't necessarily need to worry about damaging your driveline system, in exception of course, if you're just driving like that all day, every day, highway, roadways, cityways, all these things, go miles and miles and miles. So of course, not only is this going to put a lot of pressure on your driveline system and potentially the inside of your transfer case with the clutches and whatnot that are in there, but also of course it's going to use a lot more fuel in the long run. So if you're just driving on regular pavement, maybe it's a nice beautiful summer day and you're driving out to the beach, go ahead and use that two-wheel drive. But if you're driving in inclement weather or maybe on slippery surfaces, you want to make sure that you're at least in the four-wheel drive auto if you ask me. And like I said, I had two specific things that are electronic switch only. The second one would be the neutral switch button. So essentially for that, what it's going to come down to is maybe if you were towing your truck with all four wheels on the ground, potentially either with a tow truck or even behind an RV. Maybe you're on a nice family vacation and you got the RV, but you want to take a nice truck with you, right? So you go ahead and you hook it up to the back of that RTV and you want to tow it. More than likely, you're probably not going to want to leave your key in the on position with the transmission in neutral. Essentially, by pushing the neutral release button, it's going to go ahead and disengage both of those drive lines from your transfer case and make it so you can go ahead and tow it without potentially causing damage to your transfer case or drive line. Okay, so that was a lot of information, so let's just go ahead and sum it up so it's a much smaller bit here. Essentially, if you're just driving in normal conditions, you can go ahead and drive in two-wheel drive or even four-wheel drive auto. This is going to be great for any surface, whether it's dry pavement or even snowy conditions. Otherwise, if you happen to be driving off-road and you feel as though you need a little bit more torque and power coming to all four of your wheels, go ahead and put it in four-wheel drive. Just keep in mind, like I said, if you go on dry pavement, when you come to go ahead and turn, you're probably going to notice some binding. Four-wheel drive low can only be used in very slow situations. When you try to activate it, if you're driving faster than maybe 3 miles an hour, it's probably not going to activate for you. You have to actually stop the truck, go ahead and put it in neutral typically, and then you can go ahead and shift it into four-wheel drive low. Once you're in that, as soon as you get out of your position that you're in, whether you're stuck or you're trying to tow something, go ahead and get it out of that four-wheel drive low. That way there you don't cause any unnecessary damage to your driveline system. And of course, two-wheel drive is going to be the best fuel economy overall. Okay friends, I hope you liked the video and I hope you learned a little something. Maybe you got something to say. Either way, leave it in the comment section below because I always love to hear from you. If you liked the video, smash on that like button for me. It would mean the world. While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell. That way there you can be kept up with all of our latest content. Thanks.